Rita's on a rampage, but we got to listen to her rant. Focus. 10% of these students, 10% of every classroom within the district has a remedial problem associated with students after getting a full dose of classroom training. In my opinion, we should look at the root cause, talk to all the teachers, and try to find out what they're missing inside the classroom, if anything, that'll help them train these students better. Why don't we just listen to our employees and ask them, what do you need to make sure that you don't have 10% of your class requiring remedial training? Instead, here comes Ranting Rita, way off base, giving her story of her kids. And sad, but let's take a look. Here we go.
This character now.
I can do a lot of things, but I don't have to. It's my turn to talk now. And what I'd love to say is this. You're all bringing up the things that make a child unsuccessful.
Actually, we're bringing up opportunities to look for methods to help students become successful. That's the goal. If we have 10% of our students that need remedial training, and then, just think that through for a second. If you have 10% of your students needing remedial training, and then upon remedial training, they get the lesson, what's happening in the remedial training that's not happening in the classroom? It's so simple. Get the root cause analysis. Find out what happens in the remedial training that doesn't happen in the classroom, and provide it in the classroom. You will save that student the agony of coming to school early, staying after school. You'll receive the agony of that teacher. They're talking about giving up their prep period to help these students. Why not just support them in the classroom? It's only logical. And then we have Rita.
I'm going to tell you my personal story. I have 2 children, both with the same IQ. Both went through the same schools. Both went through the teachers. One was number 10 in her class. The other one couldn't get past the dean.
So right there, let's take a look at that. 2 intellectual children. She's going to get into personality, but 2 intellectual children, and one is not doing so well under the program, and the other's doing fantastic. Why are we cookie cutter processing these students when they're all individuals? It's obvious. She has an experience of why we need to fix this dogmatic problem, and instead of looking at it as a issue to be resolved, she's accepting it, and then she's going to give her excuse as to why it's acceptable. Makes no sense at all. There's no reason. The money follows the student. Individual educational programs abound. Private school, they don't have this issue. They understand the concepts. They can provide some personalized training. We can do the same things in a public school if you just support the teachers. They don't understand. But let's let her rant. Sorry, it's fun to listen.
He used to come home and tell me about Mom is a high D, okay? Because he never, ever, we had all kinds of things done to him, and he always was the same. He always felt behind.
So at what point do you think as a parent that Rita decided that, hey, I have both students, very intellectual children with good IQs, one doing great, one not doing great, and then taking a look at the personality process and how a parent or an individual or a manager can work together within the personalities to make sure that everyone, the team, is successful. Apparently she missed that point. But dogmatic in her ways. Let's take a look.
And he was in his 30s. I see him. He can read, he can do business, he can do everything they taught him in school. But yet he never assessed and any of that. So when I said to him in his 30s, why did you put us through that?
Do you think this student was putting their parent through something? Or was this student going through something? Was this student not performing because they didn't understand that certain students have certain personalities and therefore react differently to training and opportunity to succeed, and working together with their personalities can improve their performance? Maybe not. Let's find out.
Do your homework and not turn it in. You knew this stuff and you wouldn't put it down on the test. And his answer to me was, I don't have to perform on demand, Mom. So you have personality. You're talking about all the
Boy, that apple didn't fall far from the tree, did it?
other things. Personality is the one thing that you can't change.
So again, if you're going to be an adult and recognize that you can't change a child's personality, why don't we as teachers change our methods to engage those personalities? They're not cookie cutters, Rita. They're individual students. We have 2,400 individual students, 250 of which on average are being left behind and needing remedial training. Now we're going to take the same teachers out of the same classrooms that we didn't support with all the resources they need, and now give these students remedial training from the same person, paying overtime to try to capture. Isn't that kind of the definition of illogical? Doing the same thing over and over, trying to get the same result? Let's continue with Rita's rant.
I tried, and you all know me. I tried hard, and it didn't work.
But she probably tried the same thing 5 times instead of trying something different.
And I was told I don't perform on demand. So you will have that. And that's all I wanted to say. You are making a big deal out of this 10%, Mr. Bradley, and those 10% of kids could be like my son and just simply don't want to do it.
Thank you. So now, back to reality.
And back to reality. I thought that was funny. So she's given up. She's saying that 10% of these students could be like her kid. That's the most arrogant thing I've ever heard in my life. Well, that's pretty hard to beat with some of the stuff that Larry says, but we'll get into him next. Look, 10% of the students are not like Rita's child. 10% of the students are not just a personality issue. There could be a multitude of reasons why some of the students are not getting the information in the classroom. And instead of just making excuses, why don't we listen to the teachers, find out what they need so they can be successful the first time. I don't know of any teacher that would think that 10% of their students needing remedial training is an acceptable level. They're probably more than willing to help. And yes, they get paid overtime to do the job a second time. But most teachers aren't like that. When I was a teacher, I wasn't like that. I want to make sure we don't leave any student behind. We want to make sure all students learn the lesson. That's the goal. And not when they're 30. Not when they're 30. When they're going through school, they want to be successful. They want to be with their peers. They want to enjoy their time mandated to be within this school. Thank you.